match and atmosphere and a valiant effort from Wigan, whom were unlucky not to win. Are we sure this is real? Yeah, I think it is.
It is. No, it is. He said.
Yeah,
He
it's genuine.
said the same to me. He said the same to me personally. Yeah.
Yeah. The last couple of minutes summed it up really. Great effort to push Rashford back over the line, only for Matt's favourite Navarrete to knock on from the dropout. Looking at the gaps in the crowds over the weekend, it's time to drop the price of TV games to £5 to get the stadium full. Hicks is even shit as a video ref.
The £5 point. I don't think it's a TV games situation.
No, I don't think it is because if you look at, I mean, Huddersfield Huddersfield dropped their ticket. I think Huddersfield tickets were a tenner. I think
my away ticket was £17 for this game, which is £3 less than it was for the game 6 weeks or so ago.
Yeah.
At Warrington when there was 13,000 there. So
I mean, I think
12,000 and a half there, or whatever there
you're
was.
completely right about the away fan thing, I think, because, you know, even with everything that Leeds have been going through, they brought plenty. You know, they were a considerable part of that 10,000 crowd at Odsal.
The seating areas at the Halliwell Jones were all incredibly sparse.
Yeah, I presume they were more expensive.
Yeah, with the massive the prices, the seated ticket prices at Warrington are excessive, I would say. But this year they're getting 13,000 crowds regularly, so you know something's going right for them. But I'd say 3,500 to 4,000, that 7,000 was in that standing side.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, as I said, Challenge Cup games are always tricky for this, particularly when they're on TV. I can totally understand why people don't go, and you know why it's an extra expense, particularly at this time of year when you've got, even if you're not going to Barcelona, you know, you've got Magic in a couple of weeks, or you're going to Summer Bash or whatever, and you know, everyone has to kind of add these things up. So I understand why you might sit in front of the TV with a cold one for this one. The
atmosphere felt like there was more than 7,000 people in there. From my point of view, from being inside the stadium.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if
didn't
that
sound
translated well on the
quiet.
television.
Yeah, no, it sounded good to me, but yeah, unfortunately, when you get people coming dressed as empty seats, it's not the best look. But what can you do?
We've got more of that to talk about. I mean, they were even trying to take down some of the seating. It felt like as the game was going on at Huddersfield to make it look like it was.
I saw that, yeah.
But anyway, Genghis Campbell said, "Plucky underdogs Wigan gave it their best shot, but ultimately the bigger and better run club won."
Yeah, again, better run club. Jack Newton says, good win, just start of a treble.
Hey, Jack's confident. Nice. Thanks for getting in touch, Jack. I think it's the first time we've read your name out on a fan review, and nice enthusiasm and confidence in your
starting
there.
Strong.
Jen K said, great game and an encouraging performance by Wigan. Reminded me of the quarter-final in 2017 at Warrington, but that time everything went against them and we got lucky. We're starting to look like a proper side, though.
Mike Dodd 22 says, a good old-fashioned cup tie, plenty of fight from both sides with Wire just edging it. The abuse given to James Child by the Wigan fans when sending a try for review was absolutely unacceptable, and the offenders need banning. Same goes for fans of any club doing the same. It's not the image the game needs.
I think we're probably quite consistent on that, aren't we, from our point of view. What I would say about that is the first few fans that you can sort of see sort of raising their arms, gesticulating a little bit, you can sort of lip read a few of them, and then none of them are sort of giving vile abuse aimed at James Child, and the sort of as soon as they're sort of ushered back, they walk away, but they are sort of saying like what the fuck for, and things to that effect, or what have you. But it's the guy in the maroon t-shirt who I know, because I could see him when he was going back to his place in the stand, had ran about 20 steps down to run around to go and swear at this guy, to go and like abuse James Child. And it's guys like that I would want clubs to be identifying, pulling in, asking them if they really want them to be a fan of their clubs, and offering to take the gentleman's tickets out of his hands, because Now, at our home ground, it's less easy to do that, especially from a home fan point of view. It's less easy to do that, and away fans, I suppose, as well. You can't really get that close to the referees. So luckily, Wigan fans aren't seen doing this a lot. But when we're at Warrington, you can see it because you can get right down, can't you? And the stewarding didn't seem to do anything about it. There was very lax stewarding, actually. There's not a lot of stewards. But we shouldn't need the stewarding to stop people running like from halfway up the stand down to abuse someone for just doing their job. At the end of the day, he was just doing his job, and he had to check, because I turned to my Uncle Liam and I said, I'm not sure Powell ain't offside here.
Well, there was so many bounces with that particular try. There were so many kind of ricochets and secondary kind of action. There's no way that you can expect a referee to, particularly to get to know exactly everything that happened. Now, so the logic of the decision, there was nothing in that, and he sent it up as a try.
I think obviously that was a frustration pent up from the previous decision that went up to the video ref, asked a try, had a billion looks, so that Robert Hicks could find a reason to disallow it. Would be the Wigan fan feeling that spills out.
Yeah.
Because, boy. Anyway. But yeah, I agree with Mike that fans doing that. Yeah. And in terms of just edging it, why just edging it, I agree with that that they did on the scoreboard. Whose turn is it to read?
I'll go.
Sarah McKenzie said, thought Wigan were unlucky. A few dodgy calls and a few crucial errors combined was the difference between the two. I would underline a few crucial errors, because that's what I'll get to in a while.
Yep. And Warrington's number one fan, I got in touch, says it was a close game and Wigan only lost by 2 points to the wire, and Josh Charnley should have got a try out there today, but the Warriors, also known as Cherry and Whites, kept him out during the fixture. Next up for this fixture, Anfield, and also looking forward to the Challenge Cup quarterfinals.
I'm not quite understanding the Josh Charnley should have got a try part. Was it I can't remember him. The only time I can remember him having a real chance was when Joe Burgess shut him out and pushed him into touch right early on. And,
no, he didn't have any clear-cut chances.
Game. Anyway, White Pie said, I think most of us Wigan fans are A, glad we didn't get battered, B, disappointed we didn't actually win, certainly, and C, happy with the best 80 mins all year. No coincidence we were pretty much as close to our first choice 17 as we've been all year either. Silly mistakes again and a knock-on only Hicks thought was a knock-on, but we'd have taken that performance at kick-off. Well, anyone who's listened to the BBC Rugby League podcast this week will know that Sean Wayne also thought it was a knock-on by Tommy Luluai. But I suppose Robert Hicks's video refereeing decision in the early goings of this game is the place to start, isn't it?
Yeah. Can we talk about what a double movement is? Because I definitely don't know what one is now. Because Leeds had two double movements without question. In both cases, the player, and indeed in the Sargentson one, it was Sargentson, wasn't it?
It was Sargentson, yeah. It was Sargentson's try that was given. So
yes.
in a way, to me, it felt like it was evened up. Cause
it was, it's almost as if it's just happenstance, and these things ultimately do even themselves up. But anyway, in terms of double movements, I always thought that an effort to promote the ball, i.e. when the ball playing arm or the ball handling arm is on the ground and you're in the clutches of a defender, if you move that arm forward, you bring it back off the ground and then plunge it over the line, which was the case in all three of those. That always used to be a, without question, double movement. Absolute knockout. If you saw that live, you'd probably call it as a double movement. But it appears that's not the case anymore, and I don't know when that was clarified and changed.
Well, the Callum McClelland try in the Leeds-Bradford game, when you're listening to the video ref explain it, James Child was the video ref, he recognised during the review of the decision that it had been sent up as a live on-call field of try, and then it sounded like he was just trying to find a way to justify why it was sent up as a try so that he could stay with the on-field decision, because he obviously didn't think it was absolutely clear-cut a double movement. But to me, Callum McClelland's legs going up into the air half a yard short of the try line, so Callum McClelland being in motion but not actually making it towards the try line in that motion, don't constitute enough momentum for his arm to shoot out a yard.
No.
So to me, that one should have been a double movement. Now, the Harry Newman one, the second one, I have to disagree with you on that one, because Harry Newman's momentum took him over the try line, and although the ball carrying arm at some point in that motion had touched the floor and then come up off the floor, by the time his body has had momentum to take it over the try line, I think it's unreasonable or unfair to say that he can't then put the ball down. Like, to say you're only allowed to put the ball down on the ground once whilst you've got the ball, I don't think is right, when it wasn't, when he was definitely still moving, and still moving for a second or so after when the ball had touched the ground. So I think the fact that he was spun over up into the air and his arm was off the ground then again after being on the ground, if he can put it back onto the ground after he's slid over the try line, I think that one's okay. I don't have a problem with that one.
Okay.
So we'll disagree on that one, I think.
What do you think of the Sargentson one?
The Sargentson one, to me, was a no try. It was a double movement. He stopped and then he lifted his arm forward. The only thing I can think the referees thought was that Ryan Atkins kind of coming over his head and touching him but not really tackling him anymore wasn't sufficient to say that Sargentson was held in the tackle, because it kind of was like the two tacklers had bounced off him but were both still touching him. So I always thought, as long as the defending player who's trying to effect a tackle is in some way touching the player when the ball carrying arm hits the floor, you can't then promote it forward. So the only thing I can think of is that part of it has changed a little bit, in that if you're falling off the tackle and not really controlling the tackle, because Ryan Atkins certainly had no control over what Dan Sargentson was doing at that point. He had been spilled off the tackle, but was around Sargentson still physically.
Yeah, he was still in contact. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of as what has changed. That if you've lost collision, no matter if you're touching them or not, if you've lost collision, then the attacking player has the opportunity. And do you know what? If the rules are going to sway one way rather than the other, so I'd rather they sway the way to giving a try rather than not giving a try. I've always said that consistently, although I would have ruled the Dan Sargentson one out based on my understanding of what I always thought double movement was.
Yeah, yeah. As I said, what's our cry? Just be consistent. So as long as that kind of thing, where there's some level of where the movement is still going, let's put it that way. When the player's movement is still going, it doesn't necessarily matter whether the elbows touch the ground or whatever. If he can reach out and place the ball over the line or on the line, then that's a try. And as long as we call it that way, then we'll run with that. But we'll just see if that is consistent.
The Harry Newman one, I've seen other tries very similar to that given over the time, and not just this year, in other years as well. So I think they are being consistent with that one. Look, the more controversial decision though, really, is obviously the Sargentson one that was ruled out, that was sent up as a try and ruled out, sent back as a no try by Robert Hicks after several slow motion replays, which I always thought was what the current system was aimed to rule out, that sort of thing. But do you know, when he explained his decision, when I watched the game back, or watched the clips back, watched that bit back, when he explained his decision, you can't argue that the ball did hit Tommy Luluai's body, arm, shoulder, kind of underarm area, as it was being knocked on by...
Yeah, it did.
By Blake Austin. But is that what the rule is? Is the rule if it hits you on the arm, if the ball hits you on the arm at all?